Good morning, how you doing? Right, we are in the garden and I just thought I would have a little chat with you before it starts raining yet again. My God, can you just please stop? About the design of the garden room and how I've arrived at my nearly final design for it, because before my head hit the pillow last night, I started thinking about it and redesigning, which is great, isn't it, when you want to get to sleep? But anyway, there you go. So originally, my design was going to span the whole width of the back of the garden with the studio over there where the playhouse is. That made the girls cry when I told them that was going. So that was a big no-no. And then over on the right was going to be the shed area. And then spanning the two was going to be a covered section with a lovely swing seat hanging from it, looking down the garden. Super relaxing. But the retaining wall here, which has been here for donkey's years, is 2 meters deep. There's a huge tree stump in there, which would need digging out. No, thank you. One down there as well at the far end, 2 tree stumps. A massive concrete plinth that would need to go. Then I would need to build another new retaining wall, and then I could dig out the ground, and then I could get started. So after lots of sleepless nights thinking about that, I decided not to do it. But what I did decide to do was build on the existing footprint of the once greenhouse and shed, which is temporarily being shifted over there, but it was back there. So the great thing about that is I'm not disturbing any of the garden because there were already structures there. So I'm quite pleased about that. Sometimes it's quite nice when you're forced to rethink a design because you come up with something better. And I do think, in hindsight, spanning the whole width of the garden would have been overkill. It would have. Now, because I'm sort of within a metre from the neighbouring fence and I've not gone through planning permission, I've gone through permitted development, I can build up to 2.5 metres high, which means I need to get the base of this garden room down as low as possible to benefit from as much internal height as I can. So let's get to the design anyway, because when I first designed the unit for here, I was quite happy with it. Dark cladding, nice big window at the end, 2 sections, one for the shed, one for the studio, blah, blah, blah. I knew it'd look all right. And then I came up with this idea of, I know, let's add a nice planter to the front, put some lovely fragrant plants in there, open the window, and while you're working, you've got this lovely scent coming in. Very relaxing, very calming. After a night or two of sleeping on that one, I looked at it again and thought, do you know what? That looks like Auntie Maud's. It looks like Auntie Maud's static home in the caravan park, doesn't it? And then I moved to a more industrial vibe. And I think that's because I wanted, I'm building it on a budget and I want to build something that you can get the materials readily from your local builders, merchants, DIY store, and go from there. So I've started using corrugated cladding on the outside, and I know some of you don't like it, but I do, okay? I'm gonna stick with it for the moment. Things are always subject to change, but I do like it for the moment. People have said, why don't you just get a shipping container? Bring one of those in. Well, I would love one, but I would have to get it craned from the road, 200 feet away, over the house to this site. And that's big money, so we're not doing that. But I don't mind the fact that it might look like one at all, okay? I want to break it up some way and I want to complement it. So at the back, when I was taking down the greenhouse, I was looking at the polycarbonate sheet thinking, do you know what, this has got something about it. I quite like this material. It's got architectural merit. And you'll find that a lot of architects have used it in very clever ways in some of their buildings. So I thought that would be just the ticket for the shed section of the garden room. So I'm going to clad that in polycarbonate sheet. And the great thing about that is it means I don't have to put a window in for light. It will let lots of beautiful diffused daylight in. And it'll also, from the outside, give you this really cool kind of X-ray image of the internal structure with the stud work and the noggins behind. So I think that is going to look fantastic. It's going to complement the rest of the cladding really well. So that was a nice design leap forward. But as I said, when I was going to sleep last night, I had another idea. I thought I was finished, but apparently I'm not. And that is this end wall here, which is going to have the big picture window in it with the desk sailing across inside. So effectively I'm going to be looking down the garden toward the house. but it is a completely right angle, perpendicular to the fence. Not much design going on there. I could leave it, still look lovely, look fantastic. But I am starting to think, if I put a little angle, if I just bring this beam out here, maybe about a foot and a half, and then sail straight back across to this corner, where is it? There. So put a nice little angle, then the window will just slightly favour the garden and look more directly at the house. And as you're walking up the garden, it's sort of, the garden room greets you a bit more because it's facing you a bit more as you come up. So yeah, so I would effectively be turning that angle in slightly. Instead of it being like that, it would just come around and face you a bit more as you come up the garden. So that's where I'm at. That's my little design update. But I just thought, you know, I'd just walk you through that. You can see my train of thought then in terms of how I've got from A to B to C to D to E. The dig out is pretty much done. My next video after this is going to be about how to create batter boards for setting out the foundations and getting them absolutely square and absolutely level. With regards to designing this project and other projects that I've done, I always get a lot of questions about what software I use to create the illustrations and the designs. Well, I use two pieces of free software actually. I use SketchUp, which is fantastic and really easy to use three-dimensional modeling software, and I use Sketchpad on the iPad, which I then take my 3D model into, and I literally trace over the top of it, lay images in, and render it up. That's what I use. Really super simple, easy to use software that you can pretty much design anything on, including a garden room.